on November 27th, 2020, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was murdered, tragically assassinated. He was an Iranian nuclear scientist. He was the head of the program Project Ahmad from 1989 to 2003. It was a program. I mean, I'm saying what the Iranian government and military said it was. I'm sure there's people that just don't believe any Middle Eastern country off top, but it was a program for them to um, research the ability for them to potentially have a nuclear weapon. Now, it might sound bad on the surface, but 1989, they're just coming out of the Iran-Iraq war, where I think over a million Iranians died, or is it over a million on both sides?
Both sides.
Both sides. And it was a very, very tragic war for Iran, and it's something that's never been forgotten by Iran. And they were like on their own while Saddam Hussein in Iraq was getting help from everywhere. To the extent I remember, not I think it was Javad Zarif actually, who was the foreign minister. Unless he resigned, I think he came back. But at that time, he was like going to the UN in New York and bringing people who had suffered chemical attacks, saying like, we need some kind of international way to stop this war because Saddam is not playing fair. Basically was threatening to chemical bomb Tehran. I'm going way into history, sorry. But yeah, not that long ago, Netanyahu was mentioning Fakhrizadeh and was saying that he was, still, part of their nuclear program, and they're still trying to build a weapon. I don't know if you guys remember when he had that picture of the cartoon bomb. Yeah. It said like "pow" on there.
They're building bomb. Look at this.
What a boomer!
Yeah, literally.
Hey man, no, I heard that.
But he had mentioned him by name, and yeah, it was a very tragic assassination. So, and it's, we don't know for sure who did it. Like we can surmise that it was Israel that did it. They assassinated Iranian,
basically, right? Like the New York Times.
No, they said they neither confirmed nor denied responsibility. So if you don't either confirm or deny, you just play Switzerland. Then
yeah,
probably was on you.
And they assassinated Iranian nuclear scientists in the past.
Yes,
but either way, like this is an action that is America's fault. What's his name? Trump set precedent in the beginning of Power Report in January. I think it was January 3rd by assassinating the Iranian general Soleimani. And it's
basically like, I don't know if I could jump in, but like to me, like just also help us like surmise for the audience, like Trump in the first act he'd made of like 2020, one of the first ones, set this precedent to where, or helped set this precedent or cement in this precedent, at least in modern times, that you can preemptively go into another country and perform an attack on their general or whatever military asset you deem as a military threat, and kill them and do whatever attack in the surrounding area, wherever you want to around the world, if you deem it a threat in the future, which is just so much of a jump from, I don't know, I mean, basic habeas corpus, but also just like the way we've done general diplomacy. And I mean, beyond those things, like do unto others is what you want done to me. If you fool me, we can't get fooled again. Like the idea that what if people were like going, oh, there's someone who's been posting too hard in the United States, we're gonna nuke their subdivision, or like we're gonna like attack their subdivision with like a drone strike or something. Obviously you can't nuke, but like you get my point here. We're gonna destroy that, we're gonna level this entire area where you live because we don't like what this person's saying online. We think they might be a propagandist in the future. So we're gonna send a drone into the United States and like rocket launch to Joe Rogan's like Austin headquarters or whatever. Like there's some things you have in the Pandora's box. Obviously, once you take it out, you can't put it back in. That's the metaphor. That's a really dangerous thing to like kind of start doing because now it's very clearly happening. Sean, I know you really want to get into like how this killing happened because there's, of course, with these things, there's certain information that's fed to the press by the people who totally didn't do it, but totally know a lot about how it was done and would love to tell the press about this thing for free publicity for the military-industrial complex. And so they tell us like really good information on how these kills happen. And Sean, you're just like kind of aghast at it, right?
So it looks like that a machine gun with AI was used to kill him. So basically, like on the day of the attack, they said that there was a gunfight between scientists, bodyguards, and several gunmen, but that's not the case. They said that I can further reports and stuff. Now it's coming out that basically a truck with a gun attached to it and whatnot came by with artificial intelligence. That basically could zoom in onto the car from like satellite stuff and went in, saw where he was sitting, scanned his face basically, shot him 4 times, shot 13 times all around him, hit him while the bodyguards tried to go in and save it. And then no one else was shot, just him. And that was it.
Yeah, like
so a truck like runs up on him, just nothing else. That's just, it's mental to me because it's showing the sophistication that there is with basically modern military tactics and stuff now, and modern assassination stuff and everything now. You don't have exploding pens like you did in the Cold War, you know, or little tiny little guns or whatnot you'd put in your like your pocket.
I was hoping for Get Smart too. Get that young Inspector Gadget.
Right. Right. So it's showing like the power that some of the most powerful militaries in the world really have, that if they want you dead, you're going to be dead. I mean, you've seen this naturally throughout history with, you know, in the 60s, Black Panthers being assassinated all the time. You have all this other stuff that's happened with leftists and whatnot in America. And now in the Middle East, you've seen it plenty of times. It's just, it's crazy. Yeah, Bam.
I mean, although like these assassinations of nuclear scientists, Iranian nuclear scientists, have been happening for a while now. I feel like also when Saudi Arabia killed Jamal Khashoggi in Turkey, chopping up his body, and there was literally no repercussions. I feel like that also like
set a precedence.
Yeah, definitely Trump's kind of like goonocracy way of government and just kind of like letting any kind of, like if it's our quote unquote ally, like they can do whatever they want kind of nature. And not to say that whenever Israel assassinated Iranian nuclear scientists before that there was any harsh consequences for it. But just that, like, yeah, go do whatever you want. Like Khashoggi was a journalist, and he wasn't even that harsh against Saudi Arabia, but they killed him in a heinous way, tried to cover it up. And there's audio of his death.
It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, I mean, like,
and I'll be inserting that right here in the podcast. No, I'm kidding.
You don't want to hear it.
I think just the worst for me, it's like it just really bothers me that we're doing this for how many years and we're still being able to go in there into other countries, do assassination attempts, you know, set up coups like we've done in South America. Now we're doing this and we're doing this Middle East. It's just like, it's just one of the most disgusting aspects of like kind of like being associated with this country, that this is continuously a consistent pattern United States has. You know, like whether it's they're using Cyberpunk 2077 weapons to get in there and knock people out with scanning moving robots or whatever. Like, it's like, regardless of that, like, it's just sickening that this is the country that we live in. And like Trump thinking that the cool thing to do in the beginning of the year was just knock someone out real quick. Well, that didn't work out very well because you still didn't get the office back, right? And he still boasts about it. He's had rallies where he talked about how proud he was that he was able to take down these hit list members. Go ahead, Sean.
Well, he was even threatening for a while now to start a war with Iran at the last part of his administration. He was really going on like, I want to do it. But even some of the hawkish people in his administration were saying, yo, you got to chill. Like, you can't right now of all times, that's like the worst thing you could possibly do is to start a war with an incoming administration. So even some of the craziest right-wing people in this country had to calm him down because he wanted to start something with Iran.
Yeah, him doing it as Trump dissing his former general that he fired, calling him a kook or whatever. Like, dude, it's just really funny. Like, you were the guy who came in talking about, oh, we got to get out the troops out, get the troops out. Now you're hawkish as hell. Literally hawkish as hell 2 months in, right? Got hawkish real quick, and like we're still doing this. I think it's one of the if bar none all the issues the United States has that's already ridiculous. The one that always really hits me the hardest is like being associated with this kind of style. Like to me, it's like we're still doing this crap, dude. Like we're still doing this. Like it almost feels like old news as hell. Like we're really spending a bunch of money making some robot to go knock out a dude that's a nuclear scientist. Yeah, sure. If you're still a part of the country that believes that he's gonna build a bomb to blow us up, if you're still thinking this kind of dumb stuff, for sure. Because think about this: if you have technology that's able to go and take some satellite to scan some dude to go assassinate him and shoot only him, unlike police in America that shoot 45 other people before they shoot the right person, like they're a bunch of stormtroopers, they're able to do this, but you don't think that we have the military capability just to defend ourselves if something were to happen? Like you're just exposing yourself to someone who
Second Amendment, baby.
Here's I have like a couple.
That's not even Second Amendment. That's a robot, man.
I have a couple things on it too. One thing going into the Second Amendment, Dan, this really likes to prove my point of anyone who's saying like I want my Second Amendment right to rise up against a tyrannical government. If the U.S. government wants you dead, you're gonna die no matter what. Like you're out, so it's game over. Like there's nothing you can do. And the other thing I have is with Iran and the whole they can have like the capabilities to have a nuclear bomb and whatnot. Two things. Trump ripped up the Iran deal, so that was one thing to help them regulate the way they couldn't. Second off, it is their right to make a nuclear bomb if they want. America has thousands of nukes. Russia has thousands of nukes. India has nukes. North Korea has nukes because this is what happens when Israel has nukes. France, UK, they have nukes. But anyways, when in Egypt, Muammar Gaddafi gave up his weapons of mass destruction, basically because we threatened them to give up his weapons of mass destruction, and we said, nah, fuck it. You know what? No, we're gonna come in and let him die, basically. So the entire world saw what happened when someone gave up their one bargain of leverage, which was the weapons of mass destruction. That they gave it up, but the U.S. came in anyways and fucked up all of Egypt. And then you already know what happened to, you know what happened Libya. Sorry, Libya. You know what happened to Libya and what happened to Gaddafi and whatnot. So then the rest of the world sees that North Korea's like, we're not going to give up our nukes because what happened if the U.S. took our nukes, they're going to invade us anyways. So the same thing now with Iran. Like it's this bully mentality that the U.S. imperialists have had for so long that they think they can go around and police everybody. Like, you can't have nukes. No, you guys can because we kind of like you and we give you weapons and you give us a lot of money. But they can't have nukes. So yeah, it's just this whole thing. I mean, the same thing with Saddam Hussein too. We just we give up weapons of mass destruction, or we're going to come and topple you anyway. So it's just this whole thing of regime change that does not work. It makes things worse. Always has.
These Caitlyn Bennett stands out here talking about they're so excited to keep their extendos on their AKs, buddy. They're not gonna do nothing against RoboCops that we're building over here. You can keep you want to keep your corny AR-15s and your extendos and all this, and I wish the government would do something, buddy. Your own president you voted for is signing bills to make Space Force and some kind of Robotron that can assassinate someone. You think your pistol or AK is going to do anything, dude? I don't even think a bazooka take that out. Like they said, the bodyguards couldn't even stop this thing. It just happened. Stop it. Stop with the Paul Revere old school Second Amendment, riding my horse around, got to protect my land approach, dude. It's not gonna work, G. If it's over, it's over. Like literally, it's over. There's no questions about it. This guy was in another country that protected. He was actually a protected person. He was just a regular civilian walking around at Vaughn's. He was inside his own place, was taken out with a GPS strike. So keep thinking, and even what you guys brought up with the Black Panthers. This has happened for years. It's happened in foreign countries. There's viruses involved, all kinds of things involved that they've been able to take people out that are actually important and protected. So quit pretending like you're any more guns you have at the crib is any more powerful than what they're doing up there. So just stop this, please. Stop it.
Bam, you said you had a point on Morocco that I don't want to like lead astray. Or is there something that's like that's way
interesting.
Too much?
Well, just like recently Morocco, I don't know if they signed anything, but they, agreed to have relations with Israel. And on the surface, that doesn't look too bad. But
interesting.
The USA became the first country in the world to recognize Morocco's occupation of Western Sahara. It's basically the last colony of Africa. The Moroccans have been occupying it for a long time, violently occupying it. It's not a very well-known situation. The area, I mean, usually when you look on a map, like I'm sure somebody's seen like, oh, what's this under Morocco? Like, what is this thing right here? Western Sahara occupied something like, but it is a nation that's recognized by I think over 200 countries, and it's a full member of the African Union. And America became the first country to recognize Morocco's occupation of it, just like they, moved their embassy to Jerusalem and recognized Israel's occupation of the Golan Heights and all this other stuff. I don't know what these people were thinking about Trump and all this America First stuff or whatever. I'll leave it there.
Well, aren't there a lot of Israelis who have ancestry going back to Morocco or something too, or like they're Moroccan descent, I believe?
There's a big there has been, and I think there still is a big Jewish population in Morocco.
Yeah. Okay.
Morocco has always been a big ally of the United States, but I don't know. It just sucks that like these are like the foreign policy things that are happening under Trump, and anything that was like decent, he was, anything that kind of happened that was decent, like the Paris Accords, which is not like such a big deal, but like it's good, or like the Iran deal, or like the WHO, he's like, no, we don't want any part of that. But like things like this, which end up oppressing more people, like he's all for it, and I don't know if not a lot of people talk about the foreign policy that's happened under Trump. Sadly, like drone strikes up 300% and more civilians dead in Afghanistan than the entire war, like the entire 20 years. These are things that need to be talked about more when people speak about him as a president. We always talk about Obama being the drone master and all this other stuff, but for some reason that stuff gets ignored with Donald Trump.